All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the weekly take on the market. Apologies, I'm losing my voice a little bit. Today is Friday, September 20th. It is 12:25 Pacific Standard Time. I've got a meeting this afternoon, so it was now or never for this video. Seems to be the case lately with these meetings, but I'll be your host. My name is Scott St. Clair. I'm the manager of the Premium Product Group here at Investors Business Daily. The disclaimer, please take a moment to read it. I'm not licensed. I can't tell you what to buy, what to sell, what to hold. You've heard it all before as far as the disclaimer. This is pretty important because we do have skin in the game. We are allowed to trade invest in our own accounts fairly freely under a compliance umbrella. So it's very important that we use this disclaimer. And if I own something, I will definitely let you know if I mention a stock that I own it. Okay, market thoughts. I'm going to skip the industry groups just for time's sake. Nothing much has changed from the previous week so that I have more time for stocks to watch and then the overall market. All right, so it's been a pretty good year so far this year. This is kind of an interesting chart. The source is FactSet. And what it is a number of daily all-time highs during a single year. So we're on a run rate of 54 times this year. At this point, we've reached 39 times. Take the run rate for whatever it's worth. But even at 39, if this happens to be it, it's been a pretty good year as far as that. You can see some of these bars. And there was a long window where we weren't making too many highs from 2000 to 2006. Then it, market peaked into new high, all-time high in 2007. Then we had another little window of that. But overall, the last few years, which I've mentioned before, it's been a great year to be a time period to be an equity investor. Will that end? Yeah, unfortunately, next week, next month, next year, who knows? Just use your rules to decide on when that will be. The main thing is you never want to give up on it. You never want to go away because it's even if it were to go sideways for a long time, that it would just set up for the next potential move. All right, so I wanted to pull up this chart. This is a comparison chart of the semiconductor versus the S&P 500, and I just put that as a screensaver because I want to do that live because I want to mark it up, and I didn't want to forget. So somebody tweeted about how often recent period, maybe the last 5-10 years, how the S&P and the semis are in sync. The semis have been the leading group for sure. And if I pull up the comparison chart, and let me turn off my camera just in case. And last but not least, disclaimer, the market's still open. I don't have any intentions of doing anything, but if I have to, I might tell you, go get a glass of water. I'm going to put this video on pause for 60 seconds or 90 seconds rather than redoing the video. So just in case. Anyways. All right, so pause the video. So here's the semi. Let's add the symbol for the S&P. And let's just go back I don't know, let's go back 8 years just to kind of get an idea on how strong the semis have been. Look at, you've got a little bit of outperformance, then tremendous outperformance, and then went down more than the S&P, but then you've just had tremendous outperformance. So if I shorten this to say 2020, you can see where maybe I want to go maybe a little bit 2021. I can't remember what the sweet spot that I really wanted to. Let's just use this. This is fine. So, SMH is making new highs, S&P making new high. You go into a little bear market correction. You've got kind of an intermediate term high on the S&P there, and the semis making an intermediate term high as well. The S&P doesn't quite make a new high there, but guess what? The semis do. So strong, much stronger than the S&P. Then you go into a little bit of a correction. I don't know how to refresh this chart without. Anyway, so then you make a new high here on the SMHs, kind of at the same time that the S&P was making a new high. And I know this is getting a little messy, so I'm going to turn it off and bring it back. 2019. I don't know how to turn off those temporary lines on a comparison chart. S&P. And so we're making a new high. Well, let's just even use here, or even use here. So here, new high in the SMHs. Here, new high in the SMHs. Here, not even close to a new high on the SMH. So you have quite a divergence here, and this would be what we would call like a negative divergence, because this was the leading index. So it feels like the market is changing the leadership. Even the Nasdaq is not making a new high as the S&P is. I don't know what that means. Honestly, it could be that maybe the Nasdaq finally does play catch up. I'm bullish. I'm bullish. I'm not wildly bullish, but let me say, what's the right way to say this? I'm not exuberantly bullish, but I'm wildly bullish. What would be just below exuberantly bullish? I think the market's going higher. I really do. I've thought that. I thought the S&P was going to make a new high. I still do. I don't know if the Nasdaq is going to make a new high. I'm not going to bet against it because it doesn't seem like that makes sense. At least it did take out this high when the S&P did. But this, to me, I think it could be another leg, something like that. What percentage is that? 5, 8, 10%, something like that. Maybe it does that right into the window of the election. And then who knows at that point. But it just feels like the market has had a couple of chances to go down and it couldn't. Like it really had a chance here and it couldn't. And then they had a really good chance there, on the yen carry trade thing or that Monday, and it couldn't. So they've tried to take it down twice and couldn't take it down. So it just feels like the market's going higher. I think you want to be in buy mode. I don't have any shorts as I sit here. I was short this semiconductor index, this one, because I like the leverage of it. I shorted it yesterday. But then just this morning, I just said, I just don't want to be short. I just don't, it just doesn't seem like it's kind of like a wasted energy. So I just covered it. It wasn't that big a position anyway. So I'm long a handful of names and that's it. My 100% invested, 180% in the margin account. No, but I'm I like to concentrate. So if I get it right, I tend to get more bang for my buck than the average diversified portfolio would, both ways, up and down, honestly. So, all right. So S&P, you had the Fed news, and again, it's I just don't. I think the market very quickly priced in 50 basis points. I think that didn't really surprise Wall Street. I know there was a bit of uncertainty about what they were going to do, but it felt like if you're following that CME futures, which I don't really follow, but they talk about on IBD Live, and in the IBD Live Slack channel, I see them talk about it, and you could see it was stacking higher and higher each day as we got closer and closer to the decision. So that's out of the way, and market kind of got what it wants. It wants an accommodative Fed for better or worse. So S&P, Dow, Nasdaq, uptrend. I think the IBD exposure, it's 100 is at 100%. If you're curious about that as well, so I think that's the way to be. It's just to be in buy mode. Did I have any other? No. All right, so let's jump right into the stocks. So let's start with NVIDIA. I don't want to embarrass myself and say it's a laggard, but you can see how it's kind of making a series of higher, lower highs on the relative strength. And it's kind of making a series of lower highs. Now, do I want to be short NVIDIA? No, I don't think that's worth the effort, but I don't own the stock. I feel like it's like a market perform right as we sit here now. What does that mean? NASDAQ goes up 10%, NVIDIA probably goes up 9 or 11. NASDAQ goes down 10%, NVIDIA probably goes down 12 or 15, something like that. It just feels like it might be a little bit tired, waterlogged, whatever kind of term you want to use for overowned a bit. I think it's typical of Wall Street. Nobody knows about it here, and it's on the cover of everything here. In fact, I saw a guy that I follow on Twitter is coming out with a book called NVIDIA Way. So the book is going to come out in December. So I was like, oh, I guess that maybe that'll be the top for NVIDIA's December when the book comes out, NVIDIA Way. So it just feels a little tired. So now, if you own it like Kathy Donnelly does, or if you own it here or here, I think you can leave it if you want. I think Mark's going higher, and if Mark's going higher, this is probably going higher. It almost has to. All right, so let's go into. So I did SMH, did NVIDIA. About Kava. Kava, I don't own Kava. I can't explain why, because I've been saying it's one of the leaders. I just haven't. This reversal here, I had my chance there, I had my chance there, I had my chance there, and at this point, I just feel like I've missed it. But this one is acting great, leadership galore, for sure. Shark Ninja, I do not own as well, acting great. So you can see stocks are breaking out, and they're trending, breaking out, trending. It's really good, kind of nice action so far. Melly, I don't own as well, but so breaks out. I've got the pattern rec turned off. Breaks out and trends, acting great. KB Homes, Home Builders, broke out here. What else is in that group? Like Toll, TPH. It's in a cup with handle. You see that one. So the home building area looks fine too. So there's lots of diversification, for lack of a better word. Oscar broke out. I think the buy point was 1928. And that's something you'll develop and kind of get an eye for is one thing I've noticed in this market, like CEG, I'll talk about, VST, I'll talk about. There's just they don't make these patterns like you really, really want. So you have to kind of decide, is this a stock I want to own? Is this a company I want to own? And you might have to just hold your nose and buy it if you don't love the buy point. So Oscar, if you knew that company, earnings and sales look pretty good. How about App? Huh. I mean, I know it broke out there, but this is really more traditional cup with handle. This is the buy point. And if you bought it that day, you've never been down even a single penny, I would think. Acting great. This is all bull market action. I mean, it's hard to argue with this type of action. GGAL is another one, comes out of this cup with handle. This is very traditional pattern, very solid pattern. You bought it there, you're never down a penny. If you sold it, you just sold it wrong. And I'm talking to myself because it's done nothing wrong, acting great. AGX. So gaps up on earnings, holds the gap, pulls back nice, and has another big day yesterday. I don't know much about this company, but again, I'm getting this feedback from the market of strength begets strength, right? You get a little shakeout here, and then it goes up 14 or 15 days. Strength begets strength in these type of names for MCOR. On the Argentina side, on the gas side, YPF is building a pattern. I don't know much about it. I do own like a probing position in this. In other words, I've got like a 3 or 4% position. Might even be less than that, but it's something in that area. If it breaks out, I'll buy more. If not, I'll stop myself out and move on. But I like the area of Argentina, and I like to have some kind of exposure in that energy sector where, where there aren't a lot of eyeballs, so to speak. So this is one YPF. I'm just going through my list here. Palantir. I do not own Palantir, but this is a leader for sure. So you have nine. I mean, that's a brutal shakeout. It'd be really hard to withstand that. So a little steeper, but then, rallies off the 50-day, good action. MMYT, I don't own this one. Another one. Now this is very like the pattern, right? If I look at the weekly, it's just, I guess if you bought there, but where do you buy something like this? It's not going to build. It's unlikely, I would say, to build like a traditional pattern. So you got to kind of learn to buy pullbacks. If you just bought off, if it held support on the 10-week each line, you'd be a happy camper as the stock's here in new highs. CEG. So this is, I don't own CEG, unfortunately. I was stalking this one. Just what I talked about, the pattern, just really difficult. This is not a good pattern. And then they had really good, very positive news today, and stock jams on that. I mean, it's up 21% today. So to those of you that had the patience that I didn't, congratulations. What do you do with it here? You're probably just waiting for it to consolidate and then stair step higher, I would think. I don't know because I don't own it. VST, which is in that same area, looks very similar. The pattern is maybe a little bit better. I was buying this undercut here, and then I got stopped there, and then I had to bring myself back in there, and it just could never quite get my full position back. It kind of took the starch out of me. Unfortunately, I let my emotions get the better of me because this day. And so I sold it. I'm out. I'm gone. And then I'll just I'll wait. Hopefully it does something like this. Give me another chance. But this group is it's, and it'll go to my quote of the day. It's about sometimes it's like conviction. I had a big conviction in this group, and I gosh, I don't feel like I made as much money as I should have, quote unquote, on with this amount of conviction I had. I let the stock, the shakeout, kind of influence me. But there's a famous saying: you never have enough of the ones that work, and you always have too much of the ones that go down. So we're never satisfied as traders, that's for sure. TLN is a great name in this group. Look at that. Patience. Another great name. What else am I missing? Oh, C Limited. I do own C Limited. I'm trying to be patient. I remember being on IB Live. Somebody asked me about it there, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed in the action," but I didn't do anything. But my emotions at that time were, "This is disappointing. Stock doesn't have any umph," and it turned out to be a shakeout, at least in the short term here. So yeah, I definitely have a position there. I think I did say that. Last but not least, Coherent. Oops, COHR. Acting great. You got a traditional buy point a few days ago. It's holding. It's up 8% 3 days. If you got it, you do nothing with it. I think. You leave it. I've got it. I'm trying to leave it. I'm trying to do nothing with it. I like the sponsorship in this name. I think I've shown you guys before, but if you slide open this, you can get the sponsorship, couple of funds, have small positions in there. Hopefully that's them pushing that up to make these positions larger. Druckenmiller, Duquesne Capital, has a pretty good size position for himself and his family office. That definitely influences me. So I like when the story, the narrative, and the chart all kind of come together. Last but not least, we can look at like the FANG stocks. So this is a triple leveraged one. It's back above the moving average, so there's no point to being short. If I want to be short, I want it below at least the 50-day. And someday if we get into a bear market, it'll break below this, and then it'll be even a better short at lower prices, as hard as that is to believe. But you really want it to be broken when you're going short. So that's the stocks. I think it's a bull market until proven otherwise. It's a uptrending market until proven otherwise. If you don't like to use the term bull or bear, I get it. I don't think you have to label it. I think you want to be in looking for ideas, being long. If you're wrong, you get out until proven otherwise. All right. So the quote of the week, and I was kind of going back and forth on what quote to use, but I thought this would be a good one. And I don't remember where I got this. I actually believe I got this phrase from a book that was not related to stock investing, but it resonated with me on stock investing. So I've got it plastered all over my office here, hanging from my monitors, etc. Courage, patience, and I believe they use the word vision, but I like the word imagination and execution. This is how you make big money in stocks. You have to have the courage to take the trade. You do the work, it's breaking out of a base. You got to have the courage to put the trade on. There's always going to be something wrong. The Fed, the election, China, the war in XYZ, what else? Inflation, jobs report. There's going to be a problem with it always. Going forward, 10, 15 years from now, there will be problems that will influence you, if you allow them to, on whether to take a trade or not. If you trust in the process, you know where you're getting out if you're wrong, you can tolerate that loss, like I used last week with Ed Seykota. Risk enough, risk no more than you can afford to lose, but risk enough that a win is meaningful, right? So you have to have the courage to take the trade. Check one. Once you take the trade, you have to have the patience to let it work if it's working. And I've gotten better at that through the years, but I'm still not quite there yet. So it's hard to have. I feel like when I talk to people, they don't quite have the same problem that I have. They have the opposite problem. They give stocks too much room. I give them too little. So I need to stretch that. You got to have the patience to allow the trade to work. One of the portfolio managers at O'Neill used to say, give it a chance to bake. If you're going to make a casserole or a cake or whatever you're going to make, a turkey on Thanksgiving, if it says 5 hours to cook it till it's done, I mean, you can leave it in there 3 hours. It's probably not going to taste as good, right? So patience, allow it to bake, allow it to work. Imagination and vision. Every year, there are always stocks that go up so much. It's just like hard to believe how much they have gone up. Like CEG is a great example. Look at how much it's up today. I don't think I could have ever thought it could be up 20% in a single day. Now, if you told me it'd be at 20% in 6 months, I could have thought that could happen. But it's up 20% in a single day. So you have to imagine that these stocks, they can do amazing things to the upside. It also works the other way. You have to imagine that if I don't stop out of XYZ, it can go down 90%. And I can give you 100 examples of that as well. So, but I like to think about it, at least for me, because I don't have that problem getting out if they're going against me, is I want to imagine, hey, Scott, this can go up a lot more than you think. Don't be so quick to get out of it. Imagination, the vision of where it can go. The people that made big money in Tesla are a perfect example. They had that vision that it's going to go up a long way. Why do I want to take 60%, 80%, 100%? So, and then last but not least, execution. So you take the trade, you have the right position size. If you need to reduce it, you do. If there's a place to add, you add. And when it's time to get out, that's really hard. Then it's time to get out. So execution is probably the hardest part, I think. For me, courage is not a problem at all. I have no problem. I can take any trade as quick as I can. Maybe it's because I love to do it. So it's easy to take a trade. The patience, I'm getting a little bit better at. The imagination, the vision, I need to get a little bit better at. And execution, I guess, you will never be totally satisfied with our execution. Let's be honest. But if you can get execution 60% right, 70% right, if You buy Tesla at 100 and it runs to 400 and you got it 70% right. What's wrong with that? So, some things that I think about, when I'm either getting in a trade or I'm in a trade, I like to have this phrase handy. All right, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate your patience. This might be a short video, and I felt like I was going 100 miles an hour. Maybe in the back of my mind, I've got the clock on there, but hopefully you got something out of this. 800-831-2525, market surge at investors.com. Next week, we've got Harold and Arnie on Thursday. So I've got that following Friday off. So I will be back to you guys in a couple of weeks. Have a great weekend. Thank you.